Thank you, Representative Phillips. Timmins, do you have a specific response to the technical objections raised by the previous two witnesses? You recall that was former Representative Kaplinsky and I forget the woman's name, but they came in, they had some facts and figures telling us what a monumental task it is to reach carbon zero by 2050. And I'm wondering if, I'm wondering if you have any responses, specific and scientific responses, beyond the, we just, we need to do this. Because, I agree with the previous witnesses to some extent, like, this conversation has to get past the, we should do it, or we can't do it because it's going to hurt the economy, back and forth that we always have about this. We should do it, yes. So can we move on to how do we do it? And I want to know if what I was hearing from them is real, kind of real, maybe not real at all. What do you have to say?
Thank you for your question, Representative Knight. I, in fact, had those same questions myself. The original legislation required a study of what we could do to reach 80% by 2050. When they were doing that study, I said to them, the science is changing. You need to include 100% reductions in this study to see if we can do it, and how are we going to do it? And they said, well, it's out of scope. We've already contracted with our contractors. We're not going to be able to tell you that. So I asked the president of Brown University, Christina Paxson, if she would fund us to do our own study. So I contracted the same contractors, the same modelers, scientists from the Stockholm Environment Institute, which has an office in Boston on the Tufts University campus, and for a very unbelievably affordable fee, worked with them and a team of students to answer some of the questions to start answering your question. We found that we could reduce 80% of the emissions in the state by 2030, or 2040, or 2050. And then there's some parts that we need to do more research on. But we can do this at any pace that we choose. The difference is, if you do it faster, it's going to cost more because you're going to retire more equipment, replace furnaces, spoilers with air source heat pumps, or you're going to replace your internal combustion engine car with a electric car and so on. If you do this by 2040, we found that it's quite affordable.
Affordable to who?
Affordable, okay, so for example, I've bought an electric car. I replaced my water heater when it died with a air-sourced hybrid, a heat pump type thing, is the reverse of a refrigerator, and I had a $600 rebate from National Grid. So I put in, I think, $1,000. They put in $600. In other words, all this money doesn't have to come from the government. That individuals will put in money. The same with cars. I bought an electric car and a plug-in hybrid car. So we guess that maybe a quarter of the funding would need to come from the government. We've also are starting to do an analysis now of how much bonding could be done on a regional level. I agree a lot of this solution could come regionally, but we do need mandatory limits in states that can be enforced, because states are the only levels that actually have authority over a piece of territory below the national level. And we found that, in fact, with bond markets the way they are right now, there's a lot of money out there in investors from, for example, Northern Europe, from pension funds and so on, that are divesting from fossil fuels, and they're looking for somewhere to put that money. And so we think that with a regional bonding authority or a state, at least state bonding, we could be doing this transition in 10 or 20 years, creating thousands and thousands of good-paying jobs, a diverse swath of jobs, addressing some of the inadequate housing we have in our state, replacing our technology, updating our state, and getting ourselves off of this fossil fuel. So we have this study at the Stockholm Environment Institute website. I'm happy to deliver that or send it electronically or in paper. But you can also just search for SEI.org and Rhode Island. You can just Google search for those words and you'll find this study. So I hope that answers your question.
I'd appreciate it if you would forward the link to the,
Happy to.
to the committee. That'd be great.
I wanted to mention just one other thing, sorry. On the dashboard issue, which is included in this law, the transparency issue, we've also had a team of computer science students draft up a potential dashboard using the same style as the Hawaii Aloha Challenge, which is a state dashboard of how they're doing on climate change. And then we also, Providence has a dashboard that's very similar. So we're just trying to show that this stuff can be done, and I think we're doing that.